Doing this kind of like on a whim, so it's random, kind of random. So nothing was prepared. I just jump on. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Experience your new PC.
And I'm having so many issues with my allergies. I don't know why, but I always am. So there's nothing new about that. And had a great time last night on the Jess Rogie show with my boy Louis Borges. It was a lot of fun. My headphones are still not connecting. Come on. There we go. All right. Cool beans. Let's do this.
By Digital
Wait for people to come through. There's a lot of chaos in the background, y'all. What is that? Why is my sound output being weird? What is that? I don't even know what that is. There's like new sound features.
Her name's Carolyn.
On Stream Labs or whatever.
Oh, this feels fun.
Let me see if I can. I'm working on my audio. Bear with me.
PSEA celebrates the diverse experiences,
What is going on here?
voices, and vibrant cultures Hispanic communities bring to our nation. This
so
month
weird.
and all year round, Pennsylvania's public schools are dedicated to sharing their many
it's connected.
contributions, honoring their triumphs, and
I don't
celebrating
even
their
know what that
historical
is.
achievements
What is
in our
that?
classrooms and Heritage Month from PSEA.
I don't know if you can hear the baby yelling in the background. Sorry if you can. Still getting set up here. I don't know what's going on, but my audio is being weird. Like they changed or updated Windows, and although there are new features that make things really interesting, like Windows' new Copilot feature, which is like their AI assistant. It's like a ChatGPT intelligent assistant for Windows. You already know I'm on that. They've clearly made things more complicated. So I don't know why they did that. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. There we go. Cool. There we go. Let me know how my audio is doing, everybody, because I have no idea. I really don't know. Hopefully it's good. Now that I worked out all the kinks, we're gonna get chatting as soon as we get a couple people in here in the chat room. Let me check YouTube because I know YouTube be popping. What's up, Peanut? What's up, Brown Dwarf? Keeping it 100, y'all. Yeah. So I had a really interesting conversation last night on the Jess Rogie show. If you watched it, yes, I really did say gaping booty hole, but it was in context. It wasn't a random, like a facetious thing to say. It had a purpose. It was a purposeful comment. We were discussing, and this is just this is like the after the after talk from that conversation. The reason why I mentioned that is because there was a comment made that these non-human intelligences may be non-interventionalists, and so naturally I said, well, there's a lot of people out there with gaping booty holes who feel very differently about that. So in case you're wondering why I said that, that's why I said that. That's why I said that. So, yeah. So there's that. No filter. It was 2:00 in the morning my time. I don't do overnight shows anymore. So, so obviously things are a bit different given that I don't do those overnight shows anymore. They're very different actually, pull this back up here. There we go. Yeah, I still haven't figured out the green screen situation with this with Streamlabs. I don't know why. I don't know why it doesn't give me more of like an easy, like, oh, you know, what would you like your background to be? Well, I want it to be that. It doesn't do that. And when I watch YouTube videos, they skip over entirely how to fix the green screen situation. So whatever. I'm over it. So yeah. What's up, y'all? I yeah, there we go. How's my audio? I try to do this without glasses. I can't do it. I try, everybody. It's really difficult. It's really difficult because I'm staring at a bright screen and I already have issues. So, but everybody's like, "Oh, your glasses are the glare from your glasses are so terrible. It's hard for me to see your face or your eyes." Whatever. But we're gonna take a look at some stuff today, and I'm only gonna be a little. I can't be forever. I got a short time span today, but I figured, you know what? Let me jump on here at least once a week now, until I can get back into the groove of things, because I will. Don't worry. I do want to add value to everything that I'm doing outside of this, of course. And I'm working on a lot of things. I mean, I just started a blog, and man, the articles are not like the blog posts are very difficult to come up with some good stuff. Because I'm new to that. I mean, I've been writing for a while, but I haven't been able to. Look at this. I haven't been able to do this purely text-based communication, where I write a blog post and then it communicates exactly what I'm looking for, like what I want to get out of people. I want to elicit a very specific feeling, a very specific thinking in someone. It's hard to do with just writing. Obviously, I'm a talker, so it's easier for me to talk through those things. But I want to expand my reach, talk about more things when I can't be live. So a daily blog post is good. You guys know I've been focusing a lot on AI. So AI has been a huge focus for me lately. We're gonna have a couple people jump on. Let me see if I can throw that link in the Discord, fam. I got you. I'm gonna throw that link in the Discord here. We're gonna bring on whoever wants to join us. Peanut, if you're in, let me know. I'll hit you up on Instagram, send you a link. Woo. There we go. So I'm gonna share the link. If you're in Discord, check it out. It's okay, Garyoki. Garyoki couldn't be here today. That's okay. What's up, Black Ace Omega? What they do? Black Ace Omega got thoughts, y'all. Yep. Let me get the Zoom link on here. Capture 1, 2. Boom. Maximize that, John. And wait for the show to begin. So what's up? No, I'm just full of BS. We all are. I mean, What's up, Bryson? I see you, man. What's up? What's up? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Bryson. Can you hear me, my brother? So what's up? No, I'm just... We see you. We hear you. Well, we see you. We don't, you haven't said anything yet. But if you can talk, the world will know you're still alive. Braundorf. I used to be a personal trainer, my guy. I used to be jacked, man. I used to be like a freaking monster.
Why is my audio messed up? Hold on.
We can hear you.
I can't hear you, but you can probably hear me. Why is my audio all messed up?
Let me see if my audio... Let me make sure.
Oh, so unprofessional.
No. He left us. Just like my father. I'm just kidding. My dad didn't leave me. He died. Kind of the same thing. Just different than what they portray on the media. In the media, you know what I'm saying? Bryson will be back. He'll be back with us. Hang tight, y'all. Yeah, AI is gonna be. Listen, you guys better. I've been telling people this. You better get ready. AI is like. It's like the internet, but like an incalculable amount, like greater, in effect. Because AI can. I mean, think about like, is the internet as good as we are? What would the internet be without us, right? The internet wouldn't exist without us because we create everything. The transistor, the processors that we have in our computers, the servers for all this stuff, the data centers, all that stuff. We create that stuff for the internet to exist, among all the other things that go into play. But without the internet, we would still be here doing our thing, right? The impact that the internet has had. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's weird. I have my USB mic and headphones plugged in, and I switched it to a different USB port, and that fixed everything. Sorry about that.
It's all good, man. It's all good. We got you. We got you. We got you in here now. So what's up, man? Holler at your boy. Tell me what's going on.
What's going on? I think we're in that lull period between various bits of information coming out. You know, like we had that hearing in Mexico, we had that hearing in the United States, and so much information. I don't know if it's going on the back burner, but, you know, I keep seeing videos. I keep seeing, you know, I'm watching your stuff on the Quantum Ladder podcast. Just a shout out to that.
Thank you.
You and Louis are doing great.
Gang.
I watched your I watched your interview from last night. I really enjoyed that because a lot of the points that you talked about seem so relevant to my life. So I really enjoyed that interview that you did. But what's going on? I mean, not much. You know, we're all living our lives. There's 8 billion people on the planet. We're all doing our own thing. You know, you're a new father again. Congratulations.
For the last
Just gotta
time.
say that.
For the last time.
Who knows?
Oh no, I'm getting that snip, fam. I'm done. This is it. This is it.
That's fair. That's fair.
That was it.
You know, with you, that's fair. And congratulations. I don't think
Thank you.
many of us have said that, you know, live on video or chat, just to say, you know,
Thank you.
it's great being a father. No, I mean, thank you for bringing us this content. So regardless of, you know, what I think, you know, congratulations.
Well, you know,
But, you know,
I'm just trying to do. I'm doing what is, and I mentioned this last night. It's cathartic. I have to. I have to.
that's fair. That's fair. You know, and it comes down to, you know, what's going on with the whole phenomenon. You know, we've got those videos of Bigfoot going on in the Colorado mountains
Saw that.
may or may not be fraudulent. We've got, I know, I see several videos. I saw one the other day from this Israeli Hamas thing where there's these lights that just appear that don't seem to be moving, like rockets or the anti-rocket Iron Dome going on. But at the same time, like, it's a beautiful day today. The dog's been walked.
How is
The
the
cat's
dog?
been fed.
Wait, how's the dog anyway? Because I know there was.
She's got cancer. Her tumor has gone down in size.
Hmm.
But she's 10 years old. She's lived a good life. She's happy. I'm looking at her right now, and she looks happy. So
Yeah, well, I mean, we were all, thinking about that. Everybody in Discord was being as loving as they could. I appreciate that. The Discord's stayed alive. I know that took a sabbatical, if you will.
well, it's not as easy just to say, like you had another kid, another child.
Yeah.
So that's a big
It's a big
deal.
undertaking. It's a big there are a multitude of things that one must consider when having a child. There are exponentially more things to consider when you have more than one, and then on top of that, there are compounding factors on top of that when you have more than one to different people. So, I have an ex-wife and I have kids. So, like, there is a lot of things that you have to deal with. So whenever like people are like, oh, he's got this, what do you think I'm doing? If you only knew what a day-to-day thing was like for me, where it's the family, it's the kids, it's the, like, just eating there's a mission there. All right, there's a mission involved with eating. Every meal is a mission, and every day is a mission. Plus I got to add in the workflow mixed with playing with the little ones and trying to be there for the unicorn, because she's doing pretty much everything and still soloing with the baby right now. She's mainly
she did all the work. Let's be honest. She did all of the work in terms of creating a new human being. But I just laugh about that. Like, women have the creator. I don't know how to describe it. I always thought, like, there's God the Father, but I think the Holy Spirit, and especially with like women, is that the feminine aspect is, they do the creation, and unfortunately, men are more likely to do the destruction of things, because it's so easy to destroy something and so hard to create something. I know that's a little off topic, but that's what I think about, like the feminine aspect is that, they do all the work.
Yeah.
We're just there along the ride.
I'm not gonna play games. You're right. In almost every relationship, George Knapp said this too. Like, the woman, they propel us forward to not only be better, but they support us when we're not. When, like, right now, I'm not
100%.
I'm not the big breadwinner right now, right? Clearly, but still, we're able to maintain everything and still let me do what I do now for the time being, anyway. Until I get to the point where there's a sustainable income with what I'm doing now. So there's a lot that women do, I think, to keep us afloat, to keep us focused and motivated. On top of being like, hey, you should be doing this. You said you want to do this. They are the backbone of the relationship and of men in our life, for sure, 100%. On top of how she does what she does, I do not know. I don't understand how she does it. By the way, not
with your
all...
support.
Bro, no, dude, no. She doesn't.
I know.
She says that, but that's not. The only support that I give her, in my mind, is when she needs me, because things are so chaotic. I'm there. But for the most part, I'm like the chill, laid back, yes, dad. Where, like, she's the one who's like creating order and structure in everybody's life, including mine.
That's creation energy. They're creators. They bring life into, at least from our understanding. I don't know how it works with the reptilians, if they're laying eggs or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to spin the topic.
Speaking of aliens, you talked about a couple things, because I don't talk about it much anymore, by the way. And there's an obvious reason for that. The UFO community is insane.
Toxic.
And I don't want anything to do with. I don't want nothing to do with that anymore. But I'm not going to stop researching it. I'm not going to stop learning about it. It is the most important thing, aside from AI, in human life today. So, if there were the two biggest topics in the world, well, three: climate change, artificial intelligence, and non-human intelligence as being here on this planet. Three big topics. Huge. Are we alone? We're creating a new god,
Are we the top of the food chain? That's another big question. Like, are we the dominant species on this planet? That's even another question itself. And then there's questions of inner Earth, quite possibly that the Earth is hollow.
Yeah.
I mean, all these things that, like, the topic itself is so broad. But to say that we're the top, maybe.
Nah.
But evidence is pointing towards we're just the caretakers of the earth, and we're doing a poor job of that. But that's a whole nother topic to talk on.
It'd be like monkeys in a zoo, right? You see the gorillas, the big giant. If you walk in there, they'll rip your head off like instantly, and yet we've contained them. Like we've captured and contained them. Like they probably think, yeah, I'm big dog in here, and you don't want to put anything else in there because they'll dominate. But really, they're not. And I kind of feel like, not necessarily a one-to-one, but we are the monkeys in a cage. It's just a big cage. It's an open cage. And we think we're the dominant ones because we're the most creative and we have the most impact on our environment and other species. No other species has the impact that we do except for microorganisms, bacteria, viruses obviously can wipe us all out. But in terms of effect on all things, there is no other organism that has the same effect that we do on this planet, period. But there's something else that's here too, though, and has been.
Yeah, but did we do that naturally, or was there some aid?
Intervention? I don't know. I think
Yeah.
Speculation is all we got, man. That's all we got. I mean, if you look at history, yeah, there have been gods. Tom DeLonge's movie, which I freaking loved, by the way, loved it.
I haven't seen it.
Monsters of California. I loved it.
Yeah, it was all over the Twitterverse last weekend. I haven't sat down and give it a 2 hours.
Well,
I'd rather watch an interview with you and Louis than sit down and watch that. That's just me, opinion.
I appreciate that, but I will tell you, for me it was more nostalgia, like looking back at the 80s humor. If this was made in the 80s, it would be a classic. But it was made in 2023, so it kind of doesn't fit the time. But for nostalgia purposes, I think it's fantastic. I loved it. Wasn't a very good, coherent, believable story in terms of this could happen. It's kind of ridiculous in many points, but I feel like that's the point. That was the point. It was a comedy. It's not supposed to be real. It's a comedy, but people they're not understanding that he's delivering what he believes is the nature of the phenomenon through his storytelling method, which is comedy. So we have to take it for what it is, and for what it is, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I think he did an excellent job at doing what he wanted to do. Plus, it did tell us more. I got more out of that because of how the storytelling situation. I understand what he's implying. I really, really do. And I think that the only takeaway that I can share without spoiling the movie is that we need to be paying more attention to Brazil.
We need to be paying more attention to several aspects of the planet. You see a heat map where it shows how often phenomena are cropping up, and it seems to be almost, at least from an American perspective, that the United States on, and then say South America. But I think that just has to do with our media and how our media is able to portray it, at least in a more public light that's getting more viewers. I think I don't think that the United States should be the top dog in terms of viewing any facets of the phenomenon. And when I say phenomenon, I mean it's multifaceted, from your ghosts, your spirits, your Bigfoots, your Sasquatches, your aliens, your unidentified flying objects, unidentified aerial phenomenon,
whatever.
I just think we just have the most popular media, at least in the last 100 years or so. You know, I mean, all of that. I think, you know, we need to focus our attention on several other areas of the world, be it South America, Australia, Asia, Antarctica, which we don't even have.
That's a whole nother thing.
So
right?
much
Yeah.
It's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I you know, I will say that for me, especially when it, like, why I left the UFO community is there's a couple reasons why I left ufology in terms of being a, you know, figure there. Because Space Daddy ain't so friendly, and I've been telling y'all. But I think that the problem is that there's such a religious like hold on the UFO community that they don't want to believe that. There's this you know, this anthropomorphizing of, well, we eat animals, so it's not bad if they do it or hurt us, whatever. I think they're missing the point. Like, we are not gods. If we go and, you know, raise cows for the slaughter for our dinner plate, which we do, by the way, there is a very big difference between that and, like, subtly introducing entire systems that change civilization for all of humanity several times throughout the history of our existence on this planet, genetically modifying us to not just be like produce more booby milk, but to be a completely different species on this planet. I think that the difference between us and them, but the difference between us and cows and them and us, there's no you can't compare that. So I think that we're going to learn slowly that there's a lot of things that are uncomfortable about the phenomena that people are going to have a hard time accepting in terms of its not friendliness. And all those people out there who are love, light, and happiness, they ain't going to be so happy about what's really going on. And again, it's not that they're all, you know, not everything's good, not everything's bad. But enough of it's not good that we should be concerned. I think I think that I just want to wait and see. I want to wait until people see it for themselves, because I'm tired of telling people. I don't want to do that anymore. I hate that. I hate it.
And also, I think there's pareidolia, where we see shapes and patterns, like what we do with clouds. Be like, that cloud looks like a bunny. That cloud looks like a UFO. Where we see shapes and patterns and things that aren't necessarily there. I think on top of what you were just saying, where we end up having the human mind, you know, uses its imagination to try and understand what's going on around it, and the pareidolia of us believing that what we're seeing is some kind of pattern when really it's just a naturally occurring thing. I think that also plays into the phenomenon well. But I also know, like, the whole phenomenon it's toxic at this point.
Yeah.
From what I see online and how people talk. I mean, that's just using Twitter. That's just, you know, one website amongst
the
few million people.
The biggest website. Everybody's on Twitter.
I didn't join Twitter until July 1st, and that was only because Reddit ended up closing out third-party apps. They wanted to start charging third-party apps to pay money to see the links. And I mean, Twitter is a new thing for me. I know it's been around for almost 15 years. But I just know it's a good resource to at least get a bunch of different opinions and ideas that are being shared in a live forum for us to be able to view and read. But I also know that, you know, YouTube does well, but YouTube has a big censorship thing going on right now. You can't say certain things, you can't do certain things, and that's fair. I understand that. I just think, even if there are controversial things, information should be free. You know what I mean?
Join the AI revolution, brother.
I mean, who's to say that these pictures that have come out from this war going on in Israel are AI? Because I keep seeing things like that too. I mean, AI. I've seen a lot of videos about UFOs, and they could be fraudulent. I mean, they look fraudulent to me. A lot of them. I'm subscribed to one user who shares a lot of videos, but they all seem fraudulent, fake,
Yeah.
manipulated,
Yeah.
CGI, what do you want to call it?
It's a lot of that. It's a lot of
And the technology is only getting better. It's only learning the algorithms. It's learning the data sets, the data points to only get better. So who's to say that, like the unknown just shared on your Discord, a couple videos, you know, Alfred Hitchcock and
Yeah.
JFK saying things that
Yeah,
they
I
didn't
see.
say.
Well, and it's only going to get better from here. I think, what was it, Mel Gibson, I believe, or I don't remember what actor. One of those famous actors was like, was upset because people were using him in their ads, and he was never acting in those ads. It was AI. Somebody stole his face, his voice, everything, and they
trying
used
to remember
it for
who it
ads.
was.
I feel like it was not Mel Gibson. Oh man, freaking! I don't remember.
Regardless, no,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like someone takes your likeness, they use it to sell a product,
Yeah.
or anything. I mean,
Well, it's illegal. Though. It's illegal. So
Well, what's legality in terms of it used
Bruce
to be
Willis.
sitting?
Bruce
Yeah,
Willis.
but it used to be sitting in the back of the bus if you were a black person like yourself. That was
Yeah.
illegal. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, a law is only illegal if somebody enforces the law. And if there's nobody there to enforce the law, what's illegal and what's just happens?
Well, that is a really good question. Like ethics, morality, and legality, I feel like they kind of blend if you think about it. The idea.
Well, we know-
What?
I was gonna say we know bad things. We know like clearly all of the things that are clearly bad things that we shouldn't do. I'm not gonna say them here on YouTube, but there are things that we all know are terrible, terrible things that are illegal. But is taking someone's likeness to sell a product? I mean, it's illegal, but is it immoral?
I mean, if you think about it, it's somebody else's. I mean, you are your personal. If anything's your personal property, I believe that you yourself would be the greatest personal property that you own, right? Your you-ness, your body, your thoughts, you are your personal property. If somebody steals that and uses it for their own purposes without giving you credit, that would in essence be the definition of immoral or unethical, because especially without permission, without express consent. We understand the idea, especially in America, of personal property. We value that a lot here, of individuality. And when somebody takes that from you and uses it for their own benefit, and again, without giving you credit or some kind of a compensation for it, well, that's essentially, in our minds, in American minds, it's unethical, it's immoral. So I think that it's kind of naturally concludes that it should be an illegality. It should be. But I think also
but
there
digital-
can be, yeah.
Digital information itself is so hard to police. Digital information is something that it's not like saying possession is 9/10, or what is it, like possession of something, like I say this is my computer, you said no, that's the computer that I bought, and the person that bought it clearly has the receipt for it. But for your digital likeness, it's so easy to take that information and manipulate it that yes, it's immoral and it's, you could say, illegal, but at the same time you can do it and there's nobody policing, there's nobody sitting there and saying like, well, it looks like they used an AI video of this person today and we need to make sure that they can't do that, so we'll ban the video, like we'll arrest the person.
Well, it has to be equal. It has to be equal in effect, right? If I steal a candy wrapper, you don't have it isn't an equal effect to put me in jail for 15 years, right? It's what? That's not equal. I think that in terms of like what kind of consequences should come from an action, it should be equal in value or in effect to the act itself. So if somebody is stealing your personality, your body, your likeness, using it for their own purposes, then there should be a consequence of, hey, listen, that is my property. In essence, whether it be digitally or otherwise, you have to either remove it or give me compensation, and as well as stating that this is not you, that this is actually a likeness of me. This isn't your, like, I didn't do this. You've artificially created a likeness of me doing this. So that would be an equal action that would have an equal effect. It can't be imbalanced, man. It can't be imbalanced.
when I think about how police respond to crimes, it's a lot harder for them to respond when it comes to a crime being done versus what's happened afterwards, the afterthought, where like a store's already been robbed, and the law enforcement officers only show up after the fact, much in the same way that if our digital information is stolen from us, such as our likeness, our information, or whatever we have that we own as a what's the word, intelligent property, IP,
intellectual
yeah,
property.
our intellectual property, yes. When we own that, to say that like anyone's going to respond after the fact is more of a scary thing to me than saying that someone's going to stop it while it's happening in the act of the crime itself. And we only again are assuming this is a crime based on using other similar properties of saying that if someone takes your apple, they've stolen from you, but that apple is now in their possession, and who's to say that you can prove that that apple was yours, versus saying clearly, like Bruce Willis sold his digital rights to his likeness because he's going through a form of dementia, and that's a common experience, a common example that I can use to phrase it in that way. But I also think that it's scary because most of the time law enforcement officers respond to it after the fact, after the crime has already been committed, versus saying in the act of the.
You're talking about like the idea of crime prevention, right? Like for example, police are not supposed to be reactive, although they are. They should be proactive. The idea is that, and this is a kind of a thing that people have talked about for a lot in this kind of conversation, is like police tend to not do anything until something has already been done. When a woman says she's being abused by her boyfriend or husband or whatever, her partner, or vice versa, when a man is saying the same about whatever, his partner, then they tend to do nothing until violence has already been committed, and then now there's proof. And even if something has been done, if you cannot prove it, then you are essentially left in the dark, left to face with the attacker or the abuser to have no consequences. So how do you prevent something like that? Well, I mean, the difficulty is the level of proof that is needed to prove that somebody has done something. It's set that high for a purpose, so that you can't just accuse somebody without like overwhelming evidence of the affirmative. And I understand,
right? Our criminal justice system is built on the fact that you're innocent until proven guilty. But of course, our mindset is that, you're guilty until proven innocent. But at the same time, let's take all the manipulated images that are out there. Let's take all of someone stealing your likeness, all of it. I mean, when it comes down to it, when someone does that, is it a crime? Or is it just immoral? Because I keep coming back to the same question. Is something immoral or is it illegal? Is something that we've made, set into law saying that this is something that you can't do, or this is something that it's wrong and you shouldn't do it, but there's no punishment for it.
Well,
and it's hard to say.
I mentioned this before, right? If we can go back to the example of somebody taking so what do they call it now? I don't remember what they call it, but when a guy sent pictures of a girl, and then he releases those images to try to hurt her, then is he responsible for, let's say she commits suicide?
Revenge pornography?
Revenge porn. Thank you. I forgot what it was called. I didn't. So let's say somebody does that, right?
Yes.
Is that immoral and illegal? Well, we've decided that is illegal and it's immoral. But morality is more of a social thing. It's something that we've collectively agreed upon being not good to do in terms of morality. But
yes,
legality,
at one point, because of the color of your skin, you couldn't go to certain facilities.
Well, that was legal, but not moral. And even to this day, morality is consistent throughout time. Right? The idea of morality, the Jews, for example, if you look at the Old Testament, the Pharaoh had enslaved the Jews. And it was an atrocity even then. They knew that was wrong, even then. But
it was legal.
It was legal, but it wasn't moral. And they knew that even then. However, today, even thousands of years later, we still understand the idea of slavery as being immoral. We've only just kind of accepted that that it is also illegal. We've created a society that agrees with the morality of a thing, and have set laws in place to make sure that that we can prevent those immoralities from happening.
But that's from our perspective. I've heard, there's more people today that are enslaved than there were ever, and that's only because of the population.
Everyone. Yeah, almost everyone is an economic slave at the very least, to be honest.
Well, I'm talking more about actual,
miners in Africa, stuff like that.
Yeah, especially the MENA, the Middle East, North Africa area. And that's not to say that's any one person or any one group of people. It's just that it's. But the thing is, getting back to the topic, it has more to do with. There's so many things going on. There's 8 billion interactions going on right now. We're interacting with ourselves, but there's people that are interacting, doing things, horrible things, amongst themselves. Things we can't say those words here because it's so horrific.
Yeah.
And whether or not something is immoral or illegal, who's to police that? And when I say that from a perspective of who's to police, humans from going out and conquering other worlds, like let's say that we all of a sudden have the technologies. Let's say the secret space program is real. Let's say, certain individuals are right and that there's like a slavery colony system going on in our solar system.
Right.
Let's say that what they're talking about on Sirius and the moons of Jupiter, that's real. Like, who's the law enforcement officers for that? Is that the Galactic Federation?
People will have to decide. That's it. So let's think about this for a second. If you enslave a person, and Black is Omega made a great point, but I can't say it because it was, but I'm going to give it a like an example in a second. So let's say that you have a slave. Do you think that person who is enslaved is not going to resist being enslaved?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, what's resistance? Is it telling you, like, if you don't do what I tell you, I will, wipe out your existence? Or is it something where that just little bit of fear of saying, like, tomorrow I won't feed you, tomorrow I won't give you water, tomorrow
Isn't that what we all experience, right? If you don't work for someone, you will starve and be homeless and potentially die or get sick and have no health care, or add your fill-in societal acceptance. We are all economic slaves to the system itself. We have to find out what spectrum we're going to talk about. Real enforced. This isn't an enforced slavery. It is an implied one, right? It's implied that if you don't work, you'll either die or live a miserable life. And so, although they don't say work or die, essentially that's what the outcome will be if you don't work. And nobody wants to work at a factory or a fast food restaurant unless they're, that's their kind of thing.
But are the Greys, are they socialists? Are the Greys communist? Are the Greys in an economic system in which they're not enslaved, or do they take enslavements?
Well, hive minds don't think about slavery the same way that someone that has these ethical thought processes that we think about ethics and morality. They may only, bees don't, right? Bees don't think about ethics and morality. They just do.
Well, we have individuality in which, our consciousness is, at least to my understanding from my own perspective, our consciousness is one thought, one mind. Maybe I'm getting that mixed up with the Gestalt consciousness, of which we have the hive minds. I'm thinking more along, like, I am, what was the famous quote? I am who I be. What is it in terms of I think therefore I am. I think therefore I am. And you can't know my thoughts yet unless somehow telepathy is real, and the evidence I've seen for it's very real and very possible. But I think therefore I am, and I don't have the same hive mind consciousness, so I would think, your individual rights are just as important as my individual rights, whereas a species such as the Greys, which I've heard is a gestalt consciousness in which they have a hive mind on the scale of, like you said, bees or ants, that they are working more towards the greater good of their own species than not the greater good of their own individuality.
And again, you have to ask yourself if to us that would be unthinkable. We would never do that. We would never consider that type of living, that way of life. Yes, Peanut, congratulations, thank you. We would never consider that to be an acceptable way to live our life. We believe in this individuality. We believe in this idea of sovereignty, when it comes to nations. And of course, in America, we believe in personal property. But ultimately, I think that we have to ask ourselves: are there any universal truths about morality? That's difficult because morality is subjective and objective. If you were to hurt someone, it doesn't matter whether or not you believe it's moral. The effect that you have on that being or person is that of an immoral outcome. If I were to take people that take all these cows and they cut them up and they raise them to be happy, but then they bash their heads in and then they feed them on your dinner plate, that's cruel, man. That's evil. But at the same time, we don't consider it evil when it's on our dinner plate. We do consider it evil when we watch it happen. Even though we know we need it to be done and that it's acceptable, it's still unacceptable in practice. That is not called a conflict. That's called hypocrisy, and if you will, it's kind of an oxymoron of morality. But that comes from a human perspective. For me, dolphins, whales will protect their young. Dolphins will attack sharks to protect us. Every organism understands the idea of murder.
But we're so
harm.
limited, though. We're limited in our thinking because it comes from a human perspective. I'm just saying, from maybe to a reptilian, murdering us is actually a good thing.
Food.
And
right?
something
Or
like that.
pleasure.
We can use that. Right. We're the cattle to maybe another species. We are the experiments. We are the...
Do you want that?
Do I want it? No. I mean...
Would you resist it?
But resist? I mean, honestly, I don't know how to resist, because if we come back...
Would you?
Well, we're talking about like what you were talking about with Louis yesterday and Jessa.
Rogie.
Yes, and that the gun issue, because that's the easiest tool to use to be able to do that. What I'm saying is, like, do I want it? No, but at the same time, if we don't have that as a tool, can we use that? I don't know. Maybe I'm getting off topic here, and maybe I'm just all over the place and bouncing around.
I can make
sense. I feel like that's...
Sorry, so we're just shooting ideas, man. We're shotgunning it today,
Yeah, it's just more of a conversation, and I appreciate you having the conversation. You're a much better host than I could ever be. I lose my train of thought, and I can't host as well as you can. You do. Your passion about the subjects that we're talking about is a lot easier than I'm more of a... I've always thought of myself as more of a follower than a leader, and you seem more of a leader to me in my mind, and you have a much better grasp on being able to affect the flow of ideas, because I feel like I'm all over the place right now, the way I've been talking.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think that I obviously I respect the way that you think about things, or I wouldn't add you to the stream. I would find ways to avoid it. I will tell you, I think that you're underplaying your ability to communicate. I think maybe right now you feel that way, but we've had conversations where I've changed my perspective because of what you've said. So to be clear, I'm going to give you another link because I don't have Zoom. I don't pay for Zoom anymore, so we got 45 minutes. But I'm going to give you another link here on Discord. Hold on, while we're sitting here, doing a circle jerk, I'll give you another link here in a second. All right, guys. Hang tight. We'll just be a minute. There's my face. No, not like that. All right, so let's do this again. Share the link in Discord. And let's do it. No comment, Robert. I can't comment on that stuff, Robert. Come on, man. You know what's up.
Hi, everyone. What's the good word?
I've seen that before. By the way, the unknown, I've seen those AI deep fakes, by the way. Welcome back, Bryson. Welcome
All right,
back.
can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it was just weird about the USB earlier. How I had plugged it into a different USB slot, and all of a sudden the audio started working. Yeah, it's just regardless how I can think of things, I always go back to the human sociology and physiology of how when we think about the perspective of, say, let's say there's a negative race out there. Let's say that they're reptilians. This is all hypothetical. I can't say for sure. I've never met one, never talked to one. But let's say, you know, one of those thinks that what we think is immoral is just the same way that we think, like, you know, if you're vegan or not vegan and, you know, using another animal, you know, to feed off of it, like, are we all, you know, in some way, and just as, you know, using the word loosh, like that whole idea of feeding off energy of other beings, like, are we feeding off the energy of other animals just in the same way they're feeding off of us? Like, I get really, like, discouraged from that because I don't know. You know, like, I'm so interested in the topic that, like, are we doing the same thing that we would do to, say, a chicken that they're doing to us? And it really rattles me, but at the same time, I know that if I just don't think about it, it doesn't matter. And that's a lot of things, you know, in my day-to-day life. You know, if I don't think about something, I can't worry about it. You know, there's no point in worrying about something. It's better just to go do something than to worry, because worry gets you nowhere. But at the same time, you know, this whole phenomenon, and it at the beginning, you know, be it, say, 1947 with Roswell, or be it, say, before that with Ancient Aliens, like, are we being manipulated?
Clearly we are. That's almost like yeah, we are. What? You said a couple things that I think. By the way, thank you, Neo J230 for the follow. Appreciate that. What's up, everybody in the chat? Christine, what's up? What's up? And I was on Roderick Martin's show last night, but that was a pre-recording from like months ago. As a matter of fact, from what I understand, that was controversial because I said some controversial things on there. But he was able to release it at a much later time, so it's out there. It's out there. But anyway, I was not actually live on that show. I was not live I was live on Jess Rogi's show last night. But anyway, this is what gets me about the idea that the things that you're presenting here, right? If we are these animals in an open cage, being controlled and manipulated by another species more advanced than us, or who knows, or at least more powerful than we are, then is that right or wrong? Well,
right, the immoral versus illegal concept, you're right.
I don't think you also mentioned something else that I think is important. I'm going to address the idea that, it's not happening. There's nothing happening in my immediate experience that makes this information or idea relevant enough for me to think about, because by thinking about it without knowing, it only causes me stress, which lowers the quality of my life, my day-to-day life.
Yeah, if I turn the computer off, turn the TV off, turn all the communications that I have to the outside world and just live my life, like, it doesn't matter. None of that matters because it doesn't come up. Like, if I, you know, turn all that things off and just go about my day and, like, go to electrical engineering school, and that doesn't come up. I don't bring these topics up with those people. I just talk about, you know, our classes, and that's it. You know, I'm sure the same thing goes on with everybody's day-to-day lives. You know, we just talk to our friends, talk to the people that we're around, and these things don't come up, and we choose to seek them out because of our interests. And I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I'm so interested in it that I think it's the most important topic of our lifetimes. Yeah. But at the same time, does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're gonna die before this even, you know.
We might be economic slaves to the system because was chosen before we were even born, but we're not actual slaves to, you know, what we choose to be able to do with our life. You know, I'm not in a prison. I don't have to go to a.
Your prison.
Well, I don't have to go to. Right. I don't have to go to a room, when someone says, like, hey, Bryson, you need to go to your cell, like it's not like that. But like my prison is still open, but at the same time, like I am living in a prison, like I choose not to go to places because I don't need to. Is Earth a prison?
I think
Are we prisoners? Like,
think
are they
we
feeding
are.
off of us?
Well, the idea that I've heard being
It sounds
floated-
right.
The idea
sorry,
that
go
I've
ahead.
heard. No, this is good because I've heard about this theory, right? That we are essentially like in between a conflict between different beings, intelligences. Earth is the battlefield. There is a tug and war for the soul of humanity, literally. And the reason why there's conflict at all isn't because we are naturally violent and chaotic creatures. It's because something else is influencing us to go in that direction. And without their influence, we could be literally what people continue to they imagine us being, this utopian, spiritual, powerful society of people. They all say we have it. Everybody thinks they're special. Everyone says that there's greater potential for all of us, that we're all evolving, blah, blah, blah. But what's stopping us, according to this theory, is these other intelligences and their competing factions for the soul of humanity. And knowing that, just knowing, because there's not been a mass invasion, just knowing about what's the cause of our problems can shift the direction of humanity. So in essence, it is important that we know about this, according to this theory, because again, by knowing, we liberate human civilization, to truly realize its full potential.
I mean, Jesus was black, Ronald Reagan was the devil, and 9/11 was an inside
Oh
job.
my gosh, he had it.
I mean,
he had it.
I'm sorry.
He was brown skinned. He had darker, browner skin, right? I mean, it was Middle Eastern. Like, how many
Maybe.
white Middle Easterns do you? No, he was Middle Eastern. I mean, that's
Maybe.
even the historians say that he was Middle Eastern. I mean, unless you believe something like a fringe, I guess like a thought leader who says, what if Jesus was albino, or what if he was
I
actually
have examples in which people wrote that he had, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Regardless of that, I was throwing the train off the rails, and it's my bad, because whenever I'm because we're not having an actual live conversation. I mean, yes, we're talking to each
We're just
other
chatting, man. We're
over
just
the
chatting.
over the gloriousness of the internet, and you talked about that last night, about how this technology in itself is that we're able to speak and have conversations with this. It's unprecedented. Not saying that it didn't happen. I mean, we have information of possible nuclear weapons being used, thousands of years ago. Like, so to say that this technology hasn't ever existed, we can't say that. Or we're in the dark a lot of the times. We are looking for Prometheus's fire. We're in the cave seeing the shadow art of people.
Yeah. Plato's cave.
Right, Plato's cave. That's right. That's it. Prometheus. We are in the dark a lot of the times, and we're just waiting for someone to show us what's the shadow on the wall to entertain us, while behind our backs, are they using our energy? Are they using, we have the evidence of the mutilations, of taking our animals, our DNA, our eggs, our sperm, and all of it. Like, are we manipulated? Like, it seems viable. It seems like that in the context I believe it. But that doesn't mean it's true.
See, I veer in the direction. So some people will say we are anthropomorphizing the phenomena by saying that it's bad. But I say we're anthropomorphizing it by saying that it's good or bad. I think that the idea of good and bad is subjective. I think you guys have convinced me that the idea is subjective. But I think that it is objectively true that no one wants to be manipulated by somebody else for not even their benefit, but for the detriment of their overall existence. So let me make sense of that. If I have a friend, and the only time I hang out with that friend is when they provide a service to me, whether it be they take me out to eat, or that we go when we hang out, they always pay, or they make me laugh, and when I'm, that is essentially an unbalanced relationship. And if I don't reciprocate that, that's an imbalanced relationship, and by definition, not a good one. It's not one that I can appreciate. If they don't appreciate me, right? And again, if I don't appreciate them and it's not reciprocated, and of course, if there's harm being done, then that's even worse. So even though, hence my comment from last night on the big one that everybody keeps talking about, hit me up about. There are people out there who have a very different opinion about the intentions of these beings, but there is one thing that's unanimous: we are not in control of our own destiny. We are not in control of the way that we are as a civilization. We are not responsible for everything that happens in our lives. We may feel like and think that we are, but by not acknowledging that there is an underlying force behind all of these things happening, we are missing a piece of the puzzle that gives us liberation and true freedom. And I think that people, wanting to believe that the phenomena is here to help us sounds great, but I think that it's here for its own purposes.
But in this relationship, are we the children, or are we the animals, or are we the experiment? When I say this from Zookeeper, or are we, the younger souls that haven't quite figured out the relationship of how the universe works, or are we more of the farm animals being kept solely for the purpose of being used for some purpose? Because that's where I come back to, where I think, are we the children in the sense of, someone's helping us out, we're just, need to progress more spiritually in order for us to finally, figure out how the relationship of the source creator is with us in the universe? Are we the zookeeper analysis, or the zookeeper metaphor of being the animals that are being, watched? And if we were to be out in the wild, would we be like, the gorillas, or would be more of the, we are being used for a single purpose? Like, I don't know. I know at the same time, like, should I be worried? Like, no. Like, I know at the end of the day, like, does it matter?
Well,
no.
I think that it goes back to what first of all, what's up, Jess? Jess Rogi's in the chat, y'all. What's up, Jess? Thank you for being here. I will say, first of all, you ask a lot of good questions. These are some really good questions. You're on a really good train of thought. Let's explore it. I mean, let's think about it. So, what do we know about the phenomena? Well, it appears to be many things throughout history. Lights in the sky, the flying shield. Somebody, Platonic Zombie, posted in the chat earlier about the Jacques Vallée's perspective about the changing nature of the phenomena. This phenomena has been many things throughout history. Gnomes, fairies, whatever. Demons, angels, gods, Anunnaki. Somebody puts, I think Black Omega said the Anunnaki. Jinn, you name it. It has been all of these things. Which either means one of two things. One, there is more than one intelligence here. There has been. That is manifesting itself in multiple different ways throughout history. Two, it's all different phenomena. It's just they're all different. Maybe they're traveling. Maybe all these different civilizations are coming here and going at any given time. Or the third option, which is I think the most terrifying, it is a singular intelligence appearing to be multiple different intelligences, which I don't think any one of those is necessarily positive. Okay, what else do we know? We know that it has treated us as expendable, disposable. We have been wiped out before, right? Whether it be from Noah's flood, whether it be from the ice, there are plenty of different catastrophes that happen throughout history. There are entire civilizations that archaeologists have dug up and be like, what happened to them? They're just gone, right? Gone.
Younger Dryas.
And the suggestion is that they were wiped out by something else. The is it this Bhagavad Gita or the the Upanishads? I'm not sure which one of the Indian texts right now, but one of the Indian texts, religious texts, says that there were wars between these gods, right? So I think that there clearly are more than one intelligence, but at least one of them is not here to help us. At least one of them. I think that there is enough information out there about the phenomenon to say that they are doing things like conducting experiments. Imagine if AI was like, hey, let's take these people and find out what makes them scared. Let's find out what matters to them. Let's test what they believe is moral. Let's see what they do day to day. There's the example that we watched a video a while back where this man said that they took him, and this is a common thing, by the way, among abductees. They took him and they showed him like a baby. And I don't even want to say what they did to that baby, but they were testing to see what caused trauma, how he felt about saving people, rescue, what they wanted to understand the concept of rescue. That to me sounds like they want to know what our weaknesses are. What will make you sacrifice yourself for somebody else? And on the battlefield, where have we ever seen that? On the battlefield, when an enemy they'll shoot a soldier of yours, and you will go to rescue that soldier because you care for them, and they do it to trap you, right? Why are aliens simulating that in the abduction phenomena? It appears to be that they are observing what our weaknesses are, and also genetically modifying and manipulating our DNA and so forth for whatever purpose. They're using it to mix with their DNA, creating hybrids. That's what's being alleged. A lot of things that you mentioned, that using us for genetic material, treating us like children, using us as cattle, all of them have been displayed throughout history. Who knows? Who knows why, though? We can speculate, but we really don't know why. All I know is that not telling us.
But I want to know.
We all do.
We can all day.
We all do. But I think that we should at least recognize that there is a clandestine agenda, a clandestine presence of something else that has an agenda that it's willing to cause chaos among us to keep secret. And I don't think that is okay.
I mean, what you think is okay, though, like one man's trash, another man's treasure, using that as a phrase of like, one alien's idea of whether or not like they can do whatever they want because they're the superior power is the same in the sense that like, we do the same thing to cows, to cattle, to
Let's go back to slavery. Let's go back to Jim Crow. There were people that believed that it was okay to treat black people like they did, right?
100%.
The question is, when we look back at that, how does everybody feel? Even people who would have at one time done those things. Well, that's obviously wrong.
You can still find someone that believes that it's not wrong.
Rare.
You'll still find it's rarer, but not like, medium rare steak in the sense that is the more popular thinking of. I'm saying like we always look at it from a human perspective, and that the way we think of other species, other beings that are not from Terra, Earth, whatever you want to call it, their thought process doesn't necessarily have to follow the human narrative. And I believe that there's a possibility that, again, that they think of us as some kind of maybe experiment, maybe farm. I don't know.
All of the above?
Both, all the above. And again, I'm also limited in my experience of thinking that it's as simple as saying, well, all of these species, even though every African person is different, not every reptile person is different. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
well, I mean, if you were to go to the hood, right? And you were like,
right, but we look at Africa as being, it's 54 countries. A person from Egypt is not the same person from South Africa. We also keep thinking the same thing. We're like, not all reptiles and not all grays have to be from the same planet. They don't have to be all from the same species. They could just look similar to them. And like that could even then expound the fact that there could be multiple, dozens, hundreds of species that all look similar, but they aren't the same at all.
Do you believe in coexisting with other species?
It is, if we have the same thoughts and beliefs that like I just want to have kids, be a happy life and make
what if somebody wants to stop you? What
things.
If somebody wants to stop you from doing that? But not like, what if they want to stop you from do you feel, forget about whether or not it's moral. For you, do you think it's okay for them to do that to you? To stop you from getting the happiness that you want?
It's hard to say because maybe that in their mind is the moral objective or
Who
moral
cares? Who cares? I don't care
subjective.
what they think. Nobody cares what they think. I care what you think. Do
Yeah,
you
but that's a
feel
human
like
perspective.
the only perspective that we have is a human perspective? If a dolphin were swimming in the ocean and a shark came and bit its snout off, do you think the dolphin would be happy, or do you think it would be sad?
Right, and I can't say that
Like-
a gray, let's say a random gray, is
Yeah.
abducting a girl, impregnates her against her will, takes the baby and leaves. Like in their minds, they might be 100% like, I'm just doing this because that's okay, but in our minds, we're just thinking like, oh my gosh, that's awful, that's horrific. But
Well, who cares what they think? What matters is what it means to you. So like,
But
if-
is this going to be Independence Day? Are we going to start, like they're invaders now?
I mean, I don't know about all
No,
that.
you're-
All I'm saying is, and this is, let's
You're
not.
making me think.
Let's, who knows if it's going to be Independence Day, my brother? What I want to know, and again, I think it all boils down to this to me, right? Everybody says a lot, like there's a lot of interesting things that people say that I wonder about their psyche, how they really feel about them, their place in life and what they want in life. Let's say that, and let's just continue with this thought experiment. Let's say that any person, any organism wants to do something, and something else stops them from doing it. Do you think that the organism being stopped will enjoy that experience?
But what kind of organism are we talking about? We
Doesn't
might be
matter. Doesn't
we
matter.
might be the amoebas, the protozoa of the
I think
sapient
that
species
we are far more
world.
important than that. We are far more important than that because, they're not like, you don't see an overwhelming change in any other species on this planet other than us. We have these vast changes within our genetic code and so forth in terms of civilization and the effect that we have again on this planet. They're not. We are. No matter what anybody says, never let anyone tell you that we are not important. The idea that we're not is ludicrous because if we weren't, they wouldn't be here messing with us for thousands of years, hiding themselves and interacting with us in many different ways. Again, they're too overtly interested in us, in our development, in our place in this. That's ridiculous. Do not think that.
But who is they though? Again, we keep thinking it's
I don't know.
it's like just a singular species when I think it's maybe there is a galactic federation of 1,000 different species or whatever number. It doesn't matter about the numbers. What I'm saying is like we always come back to like which of these non-human intelligences that are visiting us, which of them are actually the ones doing the main work? Because thinking from a human perspective, we always think that there's someone in charge when it could be hundreds of agendas, all thinking different things. Like this one wants us to grow spiritually, this one wants to use us as a farming, this one wants to
Yeah, but what do you
take
want?
from this one's just like
What do you want? What do you
I
want?
want to be Picard. I want to explore the universe. I want to find new species and be like, hello.
Yeah, what do you want? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Or, do you have desires and wants? And the question is, with all of those things that I'm asking you, do you think that it's okay for something or someone else to stop you from having those things? And if so, then what will you do? What should you do in response to that hindrance? Everybody, and I hear this, and I really want to know. I want to understand this, and I want people to really see through this thinking. It doesn't matter. Benevolence, malevolence is irrelevant. What matters is whether or not you want something or someone else to stop you from having what you want, especially if what you want only enriches your life and doesn't hurt anyone else. That's a universal principle.
But then it comes back to the individual. Like again, if we agree that there's certain species that have a hive mind in which it's the species above, they would rather sacrifice their lives in order for the greater good of their own species. Like, I don't have that same philosophy. Like, like, why should I sacrifice myself for somebody else, other than like, the moral aspect of saying like, if it was me or another a
yes.
child being,
Well, you're talking about
you know,
altruism. That's a whole nother. That's altruism is like, the putting
but that-
somebody
but that's
else's.
that's the human psychology. Like, to say like an individual stranger is going to, like, me to help save them, like, would require me sacrificing my life, would I do it? And like, I also look at the hive mind effect that, like, that's what, bees and ants do. Like, they will sacrifice themselves for the greater good of their own colony, because they know in the end, like, their own species will benefit from that, rather than the individual believing that they are and that comes, gosh, you make me think here. I'm thinking.
That's what I'm trying to do, man. Trying to get them brain cells working. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get them neurons firing off.
Yeah, but I just think so. And then let's come down to the computer aspect of it. Like, does the AI think that way? Does the artificial intelligence think about itself as an individual, or think of it as, a piece of a greater part of the puzzle?
So, you're still not. Why are you evading my question? So,
Because I'm very easy to. I'm very easy to have someone, like, show me their points and be like, oh, you're right, and then somebody else shows me different points, and I think like, oh no, you're right, and then you have two conflicting views, and I'm easily swayed. Like, I sit in the middle. I'm a fence sitter on a lot of aspects. I can't decide, because it's so interesting to me to think about it more than it is to be able to make a decision, a rational, to say like yes or no, or 1 or 0, when it seems to me everything's gray. Everything is, there's no ones or zeros, there's just 2s and 3s.
Well, I think that, are we all binary code in the cosmic scheme of things? Potentially. But our experience isn't 0s and 1s. It's love and pain. And the question that I really want to know is, do you want to feel good? We're literally, our brains are almost as if by design geared towards seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. So I think that the answer to my question is obvious, but for some reason, and you're not the only one who does this, no one wants to answer the question because they don't want to believe, they don't want to think about the idea of something else doing something that they don't like, and then having to perceive it that way. So, for example, if I said that there are aliens that are coming down here and abducting people and giving them babies and taking them and leaving them with nothing but questions and trauma, you would say that by my description, I'm making a moral assessment about that situation. Well, for me, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that for myself. I wouldn't want that for anyone. And I don't know anyone who would want that for themselves that isn't a masochist or mentally ill. So, in essence, regardless of the intention of the being doing the thing that I just described, regardless of the moral implications of that thing, we should not allow that thing to happen, or at least we should resist it and resist the idea of allowing it to happen to other people. Because
But that sounds like a binary response, where there's clearly like immoral things happening versus not immoral things happening, where like you would put pleasure over pain. But let's say that from the perspective of, a non-human intelligence saying, they're just experimenting on us and they're not actually hurting us, and they return us back to the spots. Like, who's to say I lose a few sperm? Who's to say, a woman lose a few eggs? Like, for them, in their mind, they might think that is the moral high ground, or maybe not the moral right choice, because their experiment, let's say, is about to, let's say their experiment is to make sure that whoever is there, they're trying to better human species. Like, again, you're putting it back in a binary choice of saying like there's clearly a right and there's clearly a wrong.
I didn't say
and
right
maybe
or wrong. I said preferable or not.
But you're saying the
yeah.
pleasure over pain seems binary. You know what I mean? It seems like there's a right and wrong.
What do you want? That's what,
yeah. Wants and needs are different from what I, because it's such a thought process to believe.
What if somebody implemented an action that would that prevented you from existing? What if somebody did that for everyone? Would that be okay? That's called an extinction, my friend. Doesn't
But-
right or wrong is irrelevant in terms of what, like, no thing wants to
But
be.
who's-
Yeah.
But who's to say that you had a part of you that needed to be removed from the gene pool because you are part of a greater problem that could expound itself? Like, say, like, all of a sudden, like, a gene here expressed itself in the way that, you know, you're basically someone who's spreading cancer, or you're spreading a disease or something that is going to affect the rest of the human bloodline. Like, who's to say that, like, you know, getting rid of let's take Huntington's disease, in which it's a genetic pass through the Y chromosome to males. Like, it would be better for Huntington's disease to be eradicated, and in the minds of people that would seem like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But who's to say that there aren't various, let's say, genetic expressions that need to be culled? But that's again, that's
Whoa,
still,
that's
I'm
so what you're suggesting
my
is that-
hypothetical is in your hypothetical. I'm
So
not
you're-
suggesting anything. I'm just saying, like,
well, by implication, maybe you're not explicitly suggesting, but by implication, what you're suggesting is that there could be potentials that we're unaware of, that by changing the outcome of a thing, for example, let me not be abstract about this. If there's a virus that's wiping out the population, should we allow it to happen? Because by not allowing it, are we making ourselves less resistant to viruses, right? Should we ever create vaccines for anything? Shouldn't we just allow a certain number of people to perish for the sake of the greater good? Is Thanos right? Should he have wiped out 50% of the population of all existence in the universe in order for the continuation of species throughout the, like, are you utilitarian? What is the level of thought or philosophical outcome, or I should say process, that you would go by, that you believe is preferable? And no matter what you think, everybody knows the answer to this question. No one prefers for something or someone to stop them from achieving what they believe is pleasurable, is good for them. No one. Unless, of course, they are masochist or have mental illnesses, in which their intentions or their thoughts are irrelevant to the greater scheme of things, because that's not the general, healthy, and natural, thinking of a person, of a thing, of a being. So my thing is this, and I gotta end this because I gotta head out here. But I'm gonna give you the final word. My thing is this: who knows what these things are? Who knows why they're here? Who knows? I mean, even people who know don't know, right? They've seen them mutilated bodies. They've seen the, this, and they heard about the abductions, and they heard about the pregnancies, and they heard about all this stuff, right? The cows but nobody knows why. Who's doing that? What are they here for? How many of them are there? Nobody knows. But what we do know is that there are things that we want and things that we don't want. And applying a moral value on that desire, it's irrelevant. It's unnecessary, and it's not helpful.
so for me, you're not wrong. I'm gonna say, I'm sighing while I say that. You're not wrong, but I think it's so hard to say whether or not the entire phenomenon. I just feel like we're thinking in binary terms. I think we're thinking in a human perspective, and I think that there are things outside of our thought process, outside of our human aspect of looking at life, that we cannot say for sure. And I say we as though you and I, the common person, versus there might be somebody somewhere in somebody's military that knows way more than we do. We cannot grasp it, but we can understand it. We have the intelligence quotient to be able to understand what they're thinking from their own perspective, but we don't have the ability as humans to grasp that knowledge and subject. And I'm afraid that before we even get to the stars, if we haven't already been there before, that we're going to wipe ourselves out because of it. But I know that you and I aren't.
Well, who
We're not the
cares?
kind
What
of
if-
people.
What if that's the right? What if that's a better option, right? I mean, if your logic says that, essentially,
Are we the baddies?
maybe we are. So our annihilation might be what's best for this planet. Embrace it.
Might be.
Embrace it.
But it comes back to the human perspective of your own individuality. You wouldn't allow that to happen to your own family, from your perspective.
Oh, I wouldn't, but that's not. I mean, I think that my position is pretty clear. I think that it's better for people to have the things that they want, especially if it doesn't involve hurting someone by getting it. I think that people should be able to feel and experience pleasure and love. I do not think that someone should try to stop anyone from having the experience of love and pleasure in this life. And I don't think anybody wants that. I think everybody wants to feel pleasure, love, in some way.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. You're right. You're not wrong.
I am wrong, and you know it. Everybody says it. Platonic Zombie's in the chat already talking trash. Listen, Platonic Zombie, you came here to hear me talk about these things, all right?
He's
This
late.
is my show. This is my show, all right?
He's just late. That's all. He just
missed-
missed a few.
He missed the whole
He
thing.
missed the whole conversation, but that's okay.
All he heard was utilitarian and Thanos, and he's like, "What is this again?" Well, I think it's
I
all
appreciate
relevant.
the chat.
It's been fun, man. I appreciate you coming on here, entertaining my pontificating. It's always fun when people do that. We'll talk again. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, I got to head out. The Armenians in the chat, last minute, of course. Next time, my brother. Next time. Catch you later, Bryson, man. Peace, brother.
Peace.
All right, everybody, I got to get going. I got so much to do. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you being here. I'll catch y'all the next time. I don't know when. It's just going to be random here or there. Who knows? But stay tuned. You'll hear me in Discord. I'll hit you up if I can. Or you'll just see me going live. If you're following me on Twitch or YouTube, then you should get a notification that I'll be going live. And, I kind of chat and set up a couple minutes before I really start getting going anyway. So you have some time to pop in if you see that notification.